It's okay, it's okay. That was good.
We're going to learn the most important trick in footbag, maybe. It's called the clipper stall. It's an inside stall behind your back. I'm going to give you some tips. I'm going to show you how it's done. Just general advice on how to do it right so you don't start off on the wrong foot in footbag. Here we go. Okay, so the first thing that you want to have already like in your repertoire before you do clipper stall is first inside kicks like this. And you also want to have inside stalls like this. We're going to start with just a brief background on those things, just some important things that you want to keep in mind. The first is that the inside stall and the inside kick happens in front of you, like this, not in this area. So when you do it, you want your other foot to come in line with the other one in like a parallel. They're both facing the same way. Also, what people don't know is you want to curl your toes inside your shoe. This gets the flattest area possible, and you should be kicking it right around the back heel for that, or the flattest part of your shoe. Inside kicks are very similar to inside stalls, except that you want to reverse the motion. Instead of meeting the bag like this, you want to go down like this, and you cushion. And you do that by curling your toes, and the bag should come to a complete stop, and it should be moving all from the hip. So those are the two tricks you need to know before you can move on to clipper stall. Now, before jumping right into actually doing clipper stalls, it's pretty valuable to get into the position and analyze it and make sure that you have a lot of balance first, because it's kind of a weird posture and you want to make sure that it's solid before you start doing it like in actual motions. So here's a really easy way to get into clipper form and to then analyze what you need to work on. So if you stall the bag in an inside stall and wrap it around, it should stay pretty stationary. Now, when you're doing this, you want your ankle to be cranked as much as possible, which means that I'm pushing my ankle down towards the ground and trying to convex the sole up as much as possible. And this is done through curling my toes, like I said before. Curling your toes is so important. It's like a fist. Like some people, when you do toe stalls, you point up like that and you make a pocket for the bag. But when you're doing clippers, you point them down. You curl your toes like this. Like if you were going to pick the bag up off the ground, that's what you should be like in clipper formation. Okay, so anyway, when you're in that clipper form, there's some important things to remember. The first is dealing with your support leg, not even the leg that has the bag on it. You want to be on the toes, like the ball of that foot, like that. You also want your knees slightly bent, which helps absorb the shock and also makes you get like a flatter and more, it basically just adjusts your center of balance and makes you more balanced when you're doing the clipper stall. And then when you're looking at this, angles vary. Some people point their knee out like this, some people point it back like that. It just depends where it's most comfortable for you to hold a clipper, but by adjusting that position, you can see that my crank changes. So here's my normal clipper stance, right around there, but when I go like this, I can get it a little bit, it's either flatter or better, and you can adjust for which tricks. Like, if you're doing a ripstine, you might hold it more far back, or you might hold it more inside. It just varies depending on what tricks you're doing. But you should have a basic go-to form for your clippers, and mine's like this. And those are the things that I remember. On the ball of my foot, my knee's bent, this is cranked, my toes are curled. There's just some important things to remember. And your arms are also very important, because you want to have your arms out like this. Your chest should be facing basically the same direction as your clipper foot is, like that. See how everything's going this way? But then you kind of turn your shoulders back so you can get a nice good look at the bag, and that should give you a pretty good center of balance. Okay, so now that you know the basic posture and basically what you're going to be doing in the clipper stall, you can move on to practicing it. And when you practice it, you want to do it over and over. And it's not really a pretty long delay, it's very short, like this. And there's some things to remember when I'm doing that. The first is that this knee is always compressing. Also, you can see that I jump back like this and plant both feet. This lets me readjust, and it makes it easier for me to get back into, it just returns me to like a normal state so that I can once again move into the next trick. So when you're doing that, you hop back, you're bending your support leg, you're cranking your ankle a lot, and both of these are coming back, and you're always landing on your toes. That's really important. Another thing is you want to make sure that the set is really straight off the clipper. So you can see that mine's going straight up every time, and that's accomplished through this motion. I'm going down like an inside stall, and then back up, and I'm setting straight up and down, just like that. This is another really good thing to practice for clipper stall. Not even planning, just staying in the same spot, because it'll help you on that crank. It'll help you get that little stall, just like that. It's a really good thing to practice for clipper. So once you have that, like the clipper over and over again, you might be feeling some soreness in the back calf muscle. And what a lot of people, I think, misunderstand is they think a lot of crank comes from the actual ankle. But I think a lot of it has to do with, one, your posture, which I've already gone over, and two, how much strength you have in this back muscle here, which is the what? The calf?
Yeah.
Yeah, the calf. A really good thing before you practice clippers is to do this stretch, like this. And what I'm doing here is I'm making sure that this is really flexible, because I feel like when you're doing that clipper, it really tones this muscle, and you should feel the burn there. And if you're already good at outside, if you're already good at inside stall, you should have a pretty solid muscle right here on your calf, and you should have already felt that burn a long time ago. If you haven't, you can revert back to inside stall and doing something like this, cranking until it burns. And even though that's kind of a pain to do, it's going to make you a lot stronger, and it'll probably result in better crank anyway. Okay, ready?
Yep.
Okay, to summarize, we've basically gone over clipper and in all of its, all the basic subtleties that I think are important for doing a good clipper stall. Just to review, you want to have good inside kicks, you want to have good inside stalls, of course on both sides. You want to be really paying attention to posture and everything that's going on, not only the clipper leg, but also the support leg as well. You want to be on the ball of your foot, you want to be bent, you want to have your toes curled, crank it a lot. And once you get that posture down and you're really comfortable with the balance, you can move on to doing clippers. And good drills to do, like I said already, is this, which would be like a muted clipper. You can also do back and forth. And as you can see on that one, I'm setting, backing away from the bag, and then meeting it again. So the bag's staying in the same, basically the same plane. It's just me revolving around it. So you have a couple ways to practice. You have the normal one side plant, you have the mute, like that, you have the jump back, and then there's also some people who do stuff like that, which I'm not sure what that's going to do for you, but it might make drifter easier or some more advanced tricks. So yeah, that's basically clipper form in a nutshell. I don't think I've missed too much. Basically just a lot of practice, always school it on both sides. Really good things to try are like 20 clippers, like alternating and just doing a lot in a row until you really feel that burn basically everywhere. And then clipper will be a good foundation for bigger tricks in the future. So good luck.